The Nigerian Education Loan Fund was established in 2024 to provide loans to eligible Nigerians for higher education, vocational training, and skills acquisition, with the responsibility of over the time giving the agency loans to Nigerians. Now, most recent is the disbursement of more than 489 million naira to support the academic pursuits of students in Ladoke Akintola University of Technology, Ogbomoso, Oyo State. This follows a significant disbursement in November 1st, 2024, where over 83 million naira was allocated to 666 students, reflecting an expanded reach. Now, joining us for this conversation is the Managing Director of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Akintunde Sawyerr. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me here. It's a bit early, but I'm glad that I'm here with you.
So how are Nigerian students receiving this initiative of President Bola Tinubu, talking about the loan initiative?
So, Nigerian students are reacting extremely positively to the initiative itself. And of course, as more and more disbursements happen, they're becoming more and more trusting. I think one of the really interesting things about what's going on at the moment is that the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, is restoring trust in government. People have gone for decades not trusting anything that government says or does. The President is restoring trust in government. The students are receiving it well. We're very transparent about what we're doing. If people have complaints or issues, they can talk to us. They can talk to us publicly. I'm here to give account. This is what the President wants. This is what we're going to continue to do.
In general, how many students have benefited from this initiative?
So, in total, to date, we have about 271,000 Nigerian students who have either had their fees paid or their fees plus some upkeep. I say fees plus upkeep because the upkeep is optional, but about 271,000 students of Nigerian citizenship are benefiting for this at tertiary level.
So how many registrants do you have at the moment, and how easy it is to access this loan?
So we have 521,000 registrants as of 6:38 this morning. 438,000 applicants at the same time. So in reality, we're getting steady progress. It's growing by about 1,000, 1,500 a day. Your question around how easy is it to access the loan? As long as you have a device and you have data, in other words, internet connectivity, you can access the site. To access the loan, your institution needs to have provided us on our database with all of your information. So essentially, when I say all of your information, your name, your date of birth, your JAMB number, your matriculation number, or your admission details would have to have been uploaded into our system. Once that's there, remember I talked about internet connection and a device, you access our site, it connects with that. We also need to know, of course, the school will provide us with the cost of the fees because it's a loan, and they'll also tell us what course you're studying and what year level you're at. But as long as you have internet connection and you have a device, as of today, and your institution has provided us with that data at the back end, you can access this loan. You don't need to know anybody. You don't need to know the president. You don't need to know me. You don't need to know any minister.
In Nigeria, you don't need to know anybody.
Is that what you're saying?
Is that what you're saying?
The way the president has set this up and the way he has insisted that this must work is that you don't need to know anybody to access this loan. And that's what we're going to do. No connections, no long leg, no, man, no man. We are not going to allow it to happen. The president wants us to completely democratize education. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, so I'm going to ask. I saw a report that talks about women accessing very little of these loans. That they are not accessing, maybe they are not registering enough. I wanted you to speak to that. Why are women, why is the number of women low?
Okay, so first of all, let me quantify it. Okay, we think, or we know that the split is about 70-30. 70 in favor of men, 30 for women. Wow. If you look globally at the uptake of any programs, any schemes across the world, you'll find that men tend to have easier access. Men tend to have this unfair advantage. This is a legacy issue. It's a global issue. Of course, it doesn't mean we should sit back and allow it to happen. Even if you look at the numbers of students in institutions, before NELFund came along, there were always more men than women. More men applying than women. More men getting admission than women. These things are legacy issues. What we need to do, because you've always got to find solutions to these challenges, is to continue to sensitize women to apply for the loan. There are underlying cultural issues that cause these sorts of things to happen. We have to be careful how we tamper with culture, but we also know that any nation that wants to progress must educate its women, especially because women have the greatest influence over children and over the nation. So we're working closely with women's groups. In fact, at NELFund, we have a group that's emerging that is focused on this specific issue. We're not going to relent until our women get access to this loan in equal measure.
Let's take it further. What measures have you put in place to ensure proper implementation of these loans? I've seen you give almost weekly or monthly reports about loans disbursed to schools.
Yeah.
What measures do you have in place for proper implementation?
Okay, so, it's an important question, and, the basis is that we want to ensure that this implementation is flawless. So we go through a very rigorous process of ensuring that people who apply for this loan are actually qualified to apply for it. And we connect very, very seamlessly with NIMC, the National Identity Management Commission, where people are provided with their NINs. And the Director General there has supported us hugely, Engineer Abisoye Odushote-Koka. We've also had a lot of support from JAMB. Professor Olede at JAMB has also given us access to their database where we can connect into JAMB through an API. So those sorts of things give us unique identifiers for those who are actually applying, because we just connect in and we can see that this is a single individual. In terms of how it goes forward, the institutions have also been working with us to ensure that they upload data that's accurate and true. Once we've got the information verified when people apply, we then go back to the institution to say, hey, look, because remember, people apply randomly. They go online and they apply randomly. It's not like we say, oh, everybody from this institution come and apply today. People are applying from everywhere. We collate, we batch for a specific institution. We send information to them. Are these really your students? Are these really the courses they're doing? If they sign and say yes, and we've satisfied our own internal criteria, we disperse. That's our implementation. No more, no less as of today.
All right, so looking at that, some will argue that how will this repayment be done?
Repayment, yes.
Because when you give loan, you are expected to pay back.
Yes, of course.
So how is it done?
Okay, great. So what the law says, and again, what the president wanted was to ensure that we don't criminalize the students, okay, or the loanees. So essentially, students are getting these interest-free loans. They don't have to pay back until 2 years after they've completed their NYSC. Once they've completed it, there's an obligation for them to let us know that we've got 2 years beyond NYSC. I'm now looking for work, or I'm now in work. If they're in work, it is their employer that has an obligation to contact us and say, I have employed such and such a person on such and such a salary.
You have feedback mechanisms to track all of this?
We will remember, we haven't started collecting repayments.
Okay.
We've put a structure in place to give out loans. We're going to put out an equally robust structure for repayments. It's going to be seamless.
So what happens if they are not employed 2 years after?
If they're not employed 2 years after, 4 years after, 6 years after, 8 years after, 10 years after, they don't pay.
They don't pay?
They do not pay back. You cannot get people who are not in work to pay. It's not fair. It's not going to happen. However, I know that His Excellency and the administration, the Tinubu administration, is putting so many things in place to ensure that employability increases. In fact, as we educate people more, their employability goes up anyway. So there are some jobs in this country that are not filled by Nigerians because they're not employable, because they've dropped out of school, they don't have the right skills, they don't have the right qualifications. So we expect employability to go up. We expect job creation to go up. So, whilst I say, flippantly 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, that's not the intention around this. The intention around this is that Once people have graduated, they'll have a higher chance of getting work, paid work, so that we can take some funds back from the employer and help those who are coming next.
How are you going to deal with ghost students who immediately after graduating leave the country?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't call them ghost students because they're real. But you know, this is not a slave contract. The fact that we give you a loan to go and get yourself an education, and you then decide that you want to go and do a master's somewhere else to get knowledge in something else, or you want to go and work in another country and get paid a fair wage for what you've studied, doesn't mean we can't hold you down because of a loan. It's not fair. But what we do is we have your NIN. In certain cases, we're going to come into agreements with organizations overseas, especially the ones that employ Nigerians, to say, hey, look, check with us so that you can do the remittances. They'll be very happy to do that because they're getting very good labor, if you like. Where that doesn't happen, we'll obviously rely on the individuals to have a conscience and to have some degree of patriotism about what their country has done for them. A lot of us were educated here. Some of us were educated abroad. Nigeria paid for our education. We have an obligation to pay back. Some people are already doing that, people who took loans in the past. So it's not a slave contract. We're not going to stop people from going abroad. But, you know, support your country. Give back to your nation. Otherwise, you know, you're not going to get as far as you think you might get. You'll make the dollars and the pounds, but you're never going to be a minister or a governor somewhere else.
Postgraduate students, can they also apply for this?
Masters.
The answer is no. And the reason is very simple. We have a lot of people in this country who are just trying to get their first rung, get on the first rung of the ladder as far as tertiary education is concerned. The funds we have are focused on those people who are looking for their first opportunity. I congratulate those who have graduated, who are doing their MScs or MAs, those who want to go and do PhDs. It's fantastic. We congratulate them and we think it's great. And hopefully some of the people we give loans to now will go and do the same. At some point in the future, we'll be able to fund those. Today, we're looking for those who need us most. They're the people we want to support, and we have a finite...
Do you have plans for them?
Eventually, maybe in the future.
In the future?
Well, the answer is yes, of course. You know, the whole idea of this is to uplift the education of Nigerians. Uplifting the education of Nigerians doesn't stop with a first degree. It might need to take them much higher. So we do have plans, but they are not our priority currently. Our priority currently is those who are leaving secondary school and dropping out because they say, I can't afford to go to university even though they have the capacity. That's our focus. We want to stop people from exiting the system, you know, post-secondary school. We also want to stop people right now from dropping out 200 level, 300 level, 400 level because they've run out of money. That's our focus for now. Let's rescue these guys first. We'll get to those who are a little bit better endowed educationally after this.
Are there tranches for these loans in segments, or is just for the school fees? That's what you have?
So there are two types of loans that we give. One is the tuition fees. So for schools that charge tuition, we pay the tuition 100%. Some have tuition and institutional charges. Some only charge institutional charges. Anything that allows a student to get to class, to get to seminars, tutorials, you know, examinations, yes, you know, anything that allows you to get into that learning space that then gives you the qualification you need eventually, we cover 100%. There is a second loan because we also recognize that people can't go to class hungry. They can't go to class and then have a job that's, you know, trying to sustain them. They can go, but what are they going to achieve if they're hungry in class or they can't afford a book or a laptop? So we provide the opportunity for people to apply for an upkeep loan. When the president sent the bill back for reenactment, for repeal and reenactment, one of the things he did was he said we must be able to allow people to collect upkeep so that we'll pay their fees, take that issue off the table for them and their parents, and we'll give them upkeep for month to month. We pay 240,000 a year, 20,000 a month to students who apply for upkeep, but it's contingent on them applying and receiving the institutional loan. Time
will not permit us, well, because we have looked at your plans for the PWDs. What software do you have in plans for them? But we will not have that time to get your response.
I'll speak to that next time you invite me because PWDs well, I'll just say to you this. Look, if a person is blind today, they cannot access our site easily because it's a visual site. But we're going to start introducing software at some point where it can be audio, so that you can communicate with the site in an audio, using audio. There are other PWDs, people living with disabilities, other issues that we're looking to address, but we want to do it properly. We don't want to rush into something that's not going to help people. We're going to address as many of the groups that are seemingly disadvantaged today as we move forward. We need your help. Help us. Tell us what you think we can do.
Managing Director, Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Mr. Akintunde Sawyerr. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been
This
great.
morning.
Even though you woke me up early.
Thank you for coming.